Hello, everyone. I'm Lavetta Jenkins, and welcome to another episode of Break into Law School. I'm joined again with my guest, Kavna Patel, and today we're diving deeper into brand building, networking, and creating a tribe that's already there when you need it and not trying to build a tribe when you need it. Yes, it sounds a little tricky, but we've got that information and so much more. Welcome back, Kevna.
Thank you for having me again, Lovetta. It's great to see
I'm
you.
so excited to have you back because last time we talked about some really good stuff, and I was like, we need to get into this a little bit more. So I'm glad to have you back on so that we can dig a little deeper into brand building and networking. Now, last time we talked a little bit about LinkedIn and how that works for you, but I always kind of see LinkedIn as your first impression when it comes to people knowing you professionally. Any tips that you can give us about LinkedIn and how to put it together so that you don't really look like a novice or like a spam account or something?
100%. LinkedIn has become your new resume. And anytime anyone Googles you, your profile on Facebook, LinkedIn, a lot of social media will pop up. So the number one thing is to make sure that that actually is a part of your branding that you want to relay when they're actually landing on your page. First things first, of course, a picture, right? A lot of profiles don't have a picture. There might be people that do not feel comfortable having a picture, but I highly, highly recommend you displaying a professional picture of yourself. Now, it does not, again, like I think we talked about this last time, it does not have to be professionally taken, but
Mm-hmm.
not a selfie, clear, and that they can recognize who you are, a more updated picture as well. Another thing that I would say is just, again, as you're talking about yourself and a resume, you think through things of like your experiences,
Mm-hmm.
where you went to school, maybe your interests, your skill set, the languages you speak, right? LinkedIn page should reflect your brand in general. The posts that you pin on your profile, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which posts are you liking? It actually shows on your page, these are the posts that you are liking, or these are the posts you have commented on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very useful for you to take a moment to really see, what does this page reflect? If this was an external individual who visited this page, what will they know about me? Right? And the tagline is the most important thing on your LinkedIn page.
Okay.
A lot of people don't even utilize the tagline portion,
Mm-hmm.
and I highly encourage you to do that. When I'm searching someone and there's a tagline that says, a life coach, for example, when I search you up, it will show up if it's in your tagline.
Okay.
So searchability wise, of course, it's important, but overall, tagline is really a summary of who you are. There's summary of qualifications on a resume. It's literally taking that into 2, 3 words and describing who you are. So,
Okay.
for example, I've seen a lot of pages where it says law student at XYZ school, or a
Mm-hmm.
student at XYZ school, undergrad at this school, like very basic. What I would encourage is for you to think outside the box. And of course, you could utilize AI tools now, or, like ChatGPT and things of that sort. Ask your friends and family, how would you describe me, my personality, my skill sets? But also just be creative, aspiring undergraduate student or aspiring 1L law student,
Okay.
entrepreneur, interested in business trial or mergers and acquisitions, things of that sort in your tagline speaks volumes. Or like certified human resources professional,
Okay.
right? So those taglines, but at the same time, there's a description underneath. So if you feel like that you want to expand on your tagline, there are a lot of students actually that I loved reading some of their interests and skill sets within the tagline. So they made it fun. There was like aspiring 1L a law student at this particular school, and an avid reader or an avid skier. And that told me a lot about their personality and who they are and what they like to do as well. So that's something to think about. Again, if you want to add more details or add a little bit more personality, definitely use the description portion. And then also, there's a lot of possibilities on LinkedIn profile to add articles that you enjoy reading or certifications that you have, or recommendations at the end of the page. So we'll talk a little bit about networking later on, but it's really, really important to have a few recommendations already. It's kind of like referrals on your resume that you add. But let's say I've met you and I've had a great chance to work with you in the past, and I'm like, Lavetta, would you feel comfortable leaving me a recommendation? And when someone goes on my page, they already know that someone I work with has had a great experience working with me. And that also speaks volumes of other people advocating for you without them even having to reach out. So those are some very, very basic first page type of tips that I would say for LinkedIn that are important. But again, the way the whole algorithm works and who you're friends with and the type of organizations and people you follow and the posts you comment on, there's a lot of other things that you could do and you could be mindful of when you're actually going through your LinkedIn optimization or LinkedIn creation.
I think what you just said is I need to take a look at my LinkedIn and flesh it out a little bit more, because I do not utilize the recommendations. I'm not necessarily pinning everything. I think I do have a tagline, but now I need to go back and look, because you've just given me a lot to think about with just the polishing of a LinkedIn page, because it is literally your digital resume. I think you said that last time. It's your digital resume. It's the resume people can look at while you're asleep, while you're not even job hunting. It's your first impression to potential employers, clients, or anybody that you want to have in your networking community. We talked about brand building, and this is literally step one. What would you say they need to do after, they've kind of got their LinkedIn polished and ready to go?
Yeah, I think once you have your LinkedIn polished and ready to go, again, definitely keep in mind that you are, I think you said this earlier, there's a difference between just a basic profile and a profile when I see it and I'm like, they actually took time and effort to show me who they are. So, add more details, first of all, into the type of work you're doing. So, for example, there's a section where it has your work history. Some people just, write, I was a volunteer for this X organization from this date to this date. But then, can you provide more details as to why this was important to you, or what type of work did you do while you were there, and what were some of the skill sets that you utilized that you for that particular position or the role or the volunteering opportunity. So, going a little bit deeper is number one. Number two, when I talk about going a little bit deeper, looking at your connections that you have and maintaining those connections. So a lot of times networking, people look at it as maybe transactional or a short-term type of a connection. What we really need to be mindful of is building a community. So it's not just about having a profile on LinkedIn or a page on LinkedIn, but it's now building your community within that, right? So whether it's, again, the organizations that you want to support, the people that you meet at events, connecting with them after, sending them a thank you note. It was great meeting you, following up, keeping up with those connections. But also, let's say you attend a panel at a particular event and you meet a couple of individuals. You can share your own insights, key takeaways from this panel. I met these people, tag them in that particular post so that they're also highlighted. Now they know that you have also advocated for their particular panel and that you have attended or, are inspired by it or motivated by it. So it's not just a hi, hello, or a message or thank you for a great event and it was great meeting you, but also what did you learn from it? And again, going that extra mile and the extra step. And I know a lot of times we think of these networking initiatives or reaching out and making a post about our event. And we think about it and it's a lot of work. We already have our daily jobs and our
Right.
personal, professionally, right? There are days when I'm like, I don't even have time to work out
Right.
or go for a walk, with all of the other things I have on my plate. But definitely making this a priority because, networking is your net worth. And at the end of the day, like this community is your community that you created that's going to bring value to you over and over and over again, whether it's learning from them, whether it's connecting with each other, whether it's providing resources to one another, whether it's them connecting you with their network, right? Networking is not just one on one, it's now that my community is connected with your community
Mm-hmm.
and seeing
Like
the
that.
bigger picture of that, right? A lot of folks, might reach out to people when they've, when they're in need.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I always say my tribe is already there for me when I need them. I don't need to build a tribe when I need them,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I think with networking, you really have to find time and make that a priority, not just for today, but just again, a genuine connection that you want to build with these people and know that you want to learn from each other and building that community for yourself.
I like that you said that, but let me kind of divert here because I'm the kind of person that I really networking kind of doesn't really work for me sometimes. I get in social settings and I'm just like, oh, I don't want to be here. So, how would you say someone with any type of social anxiety or just an introvert could network without necessarily networking?
Yeah, no, I completely understand that, if you're an introvert versus an extrovert, or sometimes you just have a bad day or you just don't feel like being around people and network for that particular event or anything of that sort. What I would say to that is, please push your boundaries, grow a little bit. Once you're there, it's not that bad, but also just being present sometimes is enough.
Mm-hmm.
When you actually attend and you can observe, you don't have to participate.
Mm-hmm.
But you just being there, you're already winning. And when you follow up with individuals, you don't have to have conversations, right? But when you're following up on LinkedIn or with speakers, or with the panels, or with anyone that you're interested in connecting with, be sure to let them know that, hey, my interests are, reading, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a book that I've been reading that's inspired me with the topic that you had talked about at the panel. So making that sort of a connection with that particular person, not personally, but even through an email or through other means, like, we have to remember communication comes in various different aspects, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be a talker. You don't have to, use that mean as the only way to communicate or to network. Like I mentioned earlier, I could attend a panel and I can be an observer and I can go back and write a post about it and be inspired by it and let them know that this really touched me or these are the things that I've learned from it. That's part of networking.
Mm-hmm.
Networking is not only just going up to someone and shaking hands and exchanging names or emails.
I think that that's what a lot of people have it locked in their mind as, and that's a misconception. It's not just everybody standing around drinking coffee, kind of talking to each other, and it is those different modes of communication. And sometimes that follow up email with a speaker, like you said about, hey, I found this book, or I'm reading this book, and it really tied into what you said. That is networking gold right there, because that also shows them that you really thought about what they were saying, and that'll help foster a genuine connection.
Yes, exactly. It's really about just um, making those genuine connections, like you said, and thinking that this is, again, not a transactional thing, but more of a long term respect, long term venture that both of you will be going through.
We talked a little bit before about, really putting in work with your grades. Would you say that that is the same type of effort you should put into fostering these genuine connections?
100%. I think, one thing I always tell students is, first of all, grades are important. Grades are very important. But, grades might get you to love, grades might get you in the door, or they might get you through the first criteria. But just know that networking and the connections that you build, not just again today, is going to help you throughout your career. So someone you meet today could turn around and help you 5-10 years from now as well. Again, they could be your client, they could be somebody that you end up working with, they could be somebody that could refer you to somebody else or particular organizations. But networking brings the same amount of weight and value to you as much as the grades. For example, we always say book smarts and street smarts.
Yeah.
And I think, it's definitely a total package, right? Like now, everything's more competitive than ever before. So again, grades are important, but then what? They also want to see your passion, your grit. How are you with clients? How are you with, other teammates? And what are your, like, when they see that you're putting in the effort to network from the beginning earlier on, then they know that this is a skill set that you already have and that you'll develop throughout your career, and it will only help you as you go forward in building these relationships with your team or with your clients and things of that sort.
You said earlier a line that I find to be so poignant that I had to write it down. You said that you built your tribe that's there when you need them, not building a tribe when you need it. Wouldn't you say that that's directly tied into how you network and how you build your community?
100%. Just like let's think about our friends, for example, right? I moved to LA recently, and let's say I want to go out, and I reach out to a particular person that I had just recently met, and either they're not available, first of all, so now I'm not able to go out
Right.
like I wanted to, or two, it's very earlier on, so we're not able to have the type of conversations, the deeper conversations to actually get to know each other. And maybe I might not be able to get what I need out of that interaction. Networking, I would say, is very similar to that, right? When I reach out to someone, when I need something, they're less likely to maybe respond or to give it their all or to be able to hear you out or help you out. But when you build these genuine connections, sometimes you don't even have to ask. It's even offered to you, right? So it might be a lot of work earlier on, and it does seem a little daunting, especially when you have a lot of things going on or overwhelming. But at the same time, the value that it brings for you when you build this community, and you don't realize the value of it today, but you will see it come to fruition when you go, when you grow and when you grow personally and professionally, how easier it becomes for you down the line because you've put in the work now.
Yeah, I think that that is probably one of the most poignant things that I want people to take away from this particular interview is it's all about building your community and not necessarily building them because you're going to want to use them or drain them for something later on, but having a genuine connection with people that isn't just transactional, but it's more of a community that's there for each other if and when you need each other, but also just having someone that is like-minded that you can talk to about things and bounce ideas off of, those are so important, not just for business growth, but also for your personal life as well. I think that this conversation that we've had today can be used in all areas of life, just not just work, but even in your personal life. You got to have some friends that will be there when you need to talk to some people about something, and they can also come to you as well.
100%. And I think one thing I would add to that is that please keep in mind that it's not just you and that other person that is benefiting from this relationship. You know, there are others that are connected to both of you that are also benefiting. So, for example, with our connection, if I find someone else that could also be a like-minded person and a great partner for you for a podcast, then I'm a people connector. I've connected
Right.
both of the dots together, right? Or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And you just never know who can help who and how. But like you said, it's not just about helping. It's really about that genuine connection, that friendship, that you're building professionally,
Right.
to bounce ideas off of, or to even vent, or to even, just say, okay, how would you approach this? And, use them as your mentors as well. So there's, again, a lot of different layers to this. And it's hard to see all of the benefits that it could reap for you in the short term. But know and believe that it is something that if you put the right amount of energy and effort into, it's definitely going to help you as you navigate your careers professionally and personally.
Absolutely. Any parting words for our listeners and viewers before we conclude this particular episode, Kevna?
Um, keep chugging along, keep trying. A lot of times it does seem overwhelming, but just know that a small step towards any of the networking efforts that we talked about is a big step. Small steps really make a big impact, even if you're just able to update your LinkedIn profile with a few points that we talked about, or be mindful of the people you connect with and, follow up with and things of that sort. And know that there are resources. So whether it's, again, your tribe and the community you've built, or the internet, but also AI now. There's so many different ways that you can utilize AI for message creations. I met this person at this particular event. Please recommend 4 or 5 different ways I can follow up, and please write the verbiage. Of course, do not copy paste, make
Don't.
it your own, make it genuine. But there are resources that are available now for you to do this faster or better, or being able to
Just be a little bit more polished with it, I think, because I'm always a champ of using AI to do something, but don't copy and paste it. Please.
that's
Yes,
why I
I
had to
do.
say that. Do
Yeah.
not copy and paste it. Make it your own. Make it
Yeah.
genuine. And again, it's about those genuine connections. So do keep that in mind. It's not transactional. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm so thankful for this genuine connection, because we're going to connect again and help people some more with some brand building. And, now that this has happened, then what? So hopefully we'll be able to have you back to walk us through a little bit more, and we can call this like a brand building boot camp. Thank you so much, Kevna, for being my guest again today. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.